Hello everybody and welcome back to the Lion's Den. Sky Marshall here, bringing you a little special edition as we reach the midpoint of this game, and it's about Russian strategy. And as you can see here, the game is afoot. Russia's expanding its territory in multiple areas, and we're going to go over that and go over Russia's victory points and possible outcome of this game. So let's just dive right in here. Okay, let's take a look. I have a philosophy right now, and I call it 10 armies in 10 turns. Slow build-up. I call them the 10 grand armies, just to be magnanimous. The 10 turns are basically from when you start the game till when you're ready to go to war. And obviously the game has about 18 turns or so somewhere in between that, by the time outbreak of war begins with Germany or possibly the Allies or Japanese, hopefully Russia can be ready. It's a tall order. It's a tall order for the Soviets, but it's also a tall order just to get its victory points. So right now, currently what I have here is I have 10 task force markers down here, basically indicating the 10 grand army theory that I have right now. Now, it might be a little bit over the top, but let's just dive right in here. So we have an army in Leningrad, Smolensk, Kiev, Moscow, Stalingrad, Novosibirsk. The first 6, 1 to 6, and also the main cities of the Soviets, which is an important part of that victory. Now, on the outskirts, we have other armies. We have the 10th over here in Primorsky Krai, because there should be a very large operational army over here to help defend assets or invade territory in the Far East. And so consequently, down here, for some other objectives, we have the 9th Army here starting to form with a factory being moved down into Transcaucasia to protect that valuable part of the map, and also to possibly spread Soviet tentacles to gain victory points down there. And then in the north, right now, currently we have 2 armies. We have the 7th and the 8th. Now, currently they're both engaged in attacking Finnish territory as part of another victory point. Now, if we look closely here, Leningrad, which is the 1st army, has the bulk of the forces, especially they got pumped up last turn, 2 airborne, 2 Marines, militia infantry. In Moscow, well, as we slowly defend Moscow, because we need our limited resources elsewhere, we have this right here, which is 2 militia motorized. And then we have these operational armies in Finland, which I guess you could say are more like an army. Infantry, motorized, artillery, which are helping take that territory. And these are probably the limits of what I would say armies. Now, if you look here, there's nothing in these zones right now. Nothing at all, because we have no resources to put over there just yet. But that's also going to be part of the plan in the next 3 or 4 turns to bump these areas up. And then, of course, we have Smolensk and Kiev, which are slowly going to be getting stuff. We're repositioning things there. And then, of course, the 10th and Primorsky Krai, we're starting the Far East. Now, that doesn't excuse the fact that we have troops in that area that are technically part of that army. It's just they're engaged in trying to secure our victory points. So let's start in the Far East. One of the victory points is the occupation and keeping the Kuril Islands till the end of the game. But on top of that, it's not just that, it's also taking Manchukuo, which is not easy. And that's just for 1 victory point. And that's pretty much the only victory point in the Far East. So in many ways, I might have to send a 2nd army out there to help try to secure that at the end of the game once that time happens. And of course, it's all about timing. I've so-called unzipped my pants to the Allies, and the Allies could come and land on the Kuril Islands and just take that victory point away. So once again, very difficult for the Soviets. Very difficult indeed. And then over here, what victory points are we going off down here? Well, there's not too much in Iran, except for the simple fact of, securing more money and more territory and making it difficult for the Allies or the Axis. But moreover, here in Turkey, this is part of a victory point, and that is access to the Mediterranean. So if we have control of Istanbul, that is one of our key targets. Hence why trying to form a possible army to get over there, or navy, or airborne attack, or whatever the situation might be. I believe keeping and controlling our cities is going to be a key point, but, and this is a big but right now because we have a demilitarized zone with the Soviets and the Germans, is the occupation of central Romania, and Warsaw is another victory point, and that's no tall order either. Of course, as our income grows, we might have better options. Now, another victory point in the north is the occupation of Helsinki, the Winter War. Now, this is probably, in my opinion, one of the easiest ones to achieve, but also very difficult, for the Axis to try to get back if you put enough resources in there. But of course, Russia has an extremely large border to try to protect. So this is where, consequently, my frustration will grow into the fact is that where do you allocate forces? How do you allocate forces? Where do you protect the territories that matter, right? And that's the difficult thing with playing Russian. It's opened my eyes to Russia. I've done a lot of experimenting this game as I wanted to, because it's a new game. I don't really care who wins or loses, but I strive to try to win the game. But under what conditions, how we can do it, how can I give me the biggest thing that I need is time and money. And that's where I've lend-leased a lot of stuff to keep the Axis and Allies fighting against each other as long as possible. And we'll see how that goes about down the game. So obviously we have to get rid of the remaining Finnish forces. So the Soviet Navy is being recalled to attack them, and also the Air Force for that final push on Helsinki, which will at least secure finally one victory point. But more to that. It is a little bit difficult, and I have the victory objectives right here, and we'll just go over them. And whereabouts are they? Oh, sorry, I think that's the German. Yeah, I think it's the German one. Anyways, it doesn't really matter. Regardless, that's where we're aiming for, is to get 10 victory points. Now, we haven't even got to the CCP yet, and thankfully we finally got a bit of momentum with the influencing of the Beijing warlord down there. But we're a long way, because look at the KMT compared to the CCP. And I think it's going to be extremely difficult to get any victory points down there. We'll be lucky just to hold on with our teeth and deny the KMT, or possibly even the Japanese, any victory points. So we'll have to wait and see how that Mexican standoff down there goes about. But anyways, guys, I just wanted to share you my little 10 army possibility here. Now, you might also think that here, well, shouldn't you have these up in the front? Is it really that important? True, but if we do get an Operation Barbarossa or something like that, I want to be in the position to protect our cities, which is an important strategic point, but also to be able to project strength and to strike out from there, and possibly analyze and divide and conquer if I need to. And having stuff right up across the border where I can be hit, not necessarily the best strategy. You can see all the flags here just to define the Soviet border right now in Europe, and we'll have to wait and see what happens down the road, of course. But yeah, guys, tell me your thoughts. Tell me your strategies about Russia. I know the Allies and the Axis are going to be looking at this video too, but they're not blind. I mean, if you're generally trying to win this game, and all three players should want to generally win this game, it just makes it more fun. They know my objectives too, but also they know I can't strike too soon, and I can't strike too late. So consequently, that's where this is the fun part of the game towards the end, where you're always trying to keep a balance. Because if you go 2-on-1 and then realize, oh God, now I'm weakened on this side and I'm giving them a chance, then you might have to switch your strategy and go back. And of course, you don't want to be the one ganged up on, and you don't want to be the two players that are ganging up on one, because then you might get betrayed. And that's the fun thing about the balance of this game. Always keeping your eyes out, the complexity of this game. And first time playing this game, we're going to see how these victory points are good or bad, if they need some tweaking. Obviously, this game has been in development for several years, this version 4. So obviously the designers know what they're talking about, but it just, does seem very difficult for Russia. And that also might mean Soviet players might have to change their mentality on how they play. Maybe I'm doing a great job with what I'm doing with the Soviets right now. Maybe I'm doing a horrible job. Who knows? But until we get to that point, we'll have to figure that out down the road. Anyways, guys, take care, and waiting to see Madman Dan's turn here. I think 9.4 should be coming up sometime this weekend, so keep an eye out, and we'll talk soon. Stay classy, and go USSR.